What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Box Out Boys. This is the box score. We're recapping the NBA Finals Game 5, a wild one for sure. Chris, Joey joining me tonight. We're all three back together. Joey held down the fort for Game 4, which was an amazing game, 43 points from Curry. But we're all back together for Game 5. Chris, you were on here early, said it was an impressive ball game, is what you said. What do you think, man? What's your reaction?
It was a very impressive performance by the
I should
Golden
say,
State Warriors, primarily by Mr. Andrew Wiggins tonight
Minnesota
with
boy.
26, 13, 12 of 23 from the field, 0 of 6 from 3. Watching him, it kind of reminded me, it looked like how if DeMar DeRozan was in the NBA Finals, this is kind of a performance he would put up.
Yeah.
Maybe if, defensively, Wiggins was fantastic against Tatum like all night.
Yeah.
Those lanky ass arms really helped keep him in check. It was really Wiggins and even Clay. Clay ended up with 21. He hit threes when it really mattered. Anything that was like kind of a solid look, you felt really good with Klay Thompson tonight. And man, but like Boston just had the perfect. I love the defense that they put on Curry. They just did the front man on him, and early it looked like now the Warriors are getting a bunch of easy looks, but it really came to help out. But besides the fourth quarter. But they kept Curry in check, 16 points, 0 of 9, first game ever that he did not hit a three.
Yeah, in the playoffs.
But Golden State still held it together because they have more guys than what people keep trying to compare this Golden State team to. So we don't need to go there. But but yeah, man, Golden State tonight, man, impressive performance.
Yeah, I probably should have said up front. Golden State won the game, Game 5, 104-94.
Oh, you said that before we went on.
Yeah,
that's fun. All right,
it's a little late here for us, so we're all kind of tired. Joey, let's go to you here, man. What was your reaction to Game 5, man?
Yeah, Golden State flipped the script on them.
Yes,
kind of went instead of third quarter, they decided to do it in the fourth quarter. Laid it on them thick. Just everything was cooking for him outside of Steph. I mean, if you would have said that Steph was going to have 16 points and not make a three-pointer and they'd win by 10, I don't think any of us would have taken that.
No.
That bet action. Also, Boston missed 10 free throws, 21 of 31 from the free throw line tonight. Went to the line 31 times to Golden State's 15.
Wow.
Missed 10 of them. So, I mean, a little bit of garbage time points there for Boston, but 10 points is probably makes a pretty big difference there in that third quarter. Yeah, Draymond, I think, came out strong to start the game as well. 8 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. That's definitely a much improved Draymond game. I've been talking about it, been calling for it. So big news there. And then, yeah, Chris highlighted Andrew Wiggins, 26 and 13. I mean, had 16 rebounds the other game and then followed up with 13 tonight. That's just everything you could hope for from somebody like him on your team. And then just on Boston side, when is Al Horford going to do something for them? I mean, Tatum had 27, Brown had 18, not a ton there. Marcus Smart had 20, but Horford had 9, minus 19. And their bench was completely non-existent tonight. So they just kind of lacked it on all fronts, but they kept it close for a while, and then they just ran out of steam. Tatum and Brown played all the second half until late there in the fourth quarter. And I don't know about you guys, but Tatum looked pretty gassed to me there at the end. Some of those fouls and just some of those layups, he didn't look like he had any legs left in him.
Yeah, you could definitely tell towards the end of the game they were kind of grinding down a little bit. I think the story of this game, obviously, besides Curry just kind of having an off night, kind of wildly, and then Golden State, obviously, the rest of the guys picking up the slack for him, specifically Wiggins and Clay. But it was the missed free throws that you're highlighting, Joey, and then the turnovers by Boston. I think it probably ended up with about 18 or 19 turnovers?
18 to 6 in turnovers.
Jeez, yeah. 18 turnovers, yeah.
Yeah, and that was kind of their magic number. They had, I think they posted that graphic up, that stat up, that they were 1-6 previously in the playoffs when 16 or more turnovers, and so now they're 1-7 with 16 or more turnovers. So when they get sloppy, it's not a recipe for them to win these games. And they started out pretty sloppy. I think in that first quarter they had 6 or 7 turnovers.
I think their first possession was a turnover. Yeah,
right away. So you could just kind of tell it was going to be a sloppy game. Even with that, their defense, Chris, like you were saying on Steph, was pretty solid. I think kind of moving Robin Williams, right? What am I
Robert
Yeah.
Williams.
Yeah,
he had a great game.
Yeah, Robin Williams
for him.
Moving him to the guard Curry off the screen instead of Horford, who was just sagging back too much and giving Curry too many open looks. That seemed to be working good for him, and then the way they were shading him or playing him harder off the screen. I think Grant Williams got a block on the kind of from the backside.
The behind the block.
Block. That was a good move from them. So defensively they had Curry locked up. Kind of a shock that they didn't end up getting this game. Even earlier though, in the second quarter, I was thinking, like Golden State should be up more than this because they were up about 12,
right,
kind of in that second half, and second quarter, but they just couldn't really put a lot of distance between them and Boston. It was always kind of in that range. And then Joey, like you were saying, man, the script got flipped that third quarter. Boston came out and looked like they were going to do to the Warriors what the Warriors have been doing to Boston all series. So pretty nuts, man. Roller coaster of a ride, though, for sure.
Yeah, and one thing I wanted to highlight with this game, Boston defensively was fantastic. Like you're talking about on Curry. Thing is, offensively, Tatum looked fine, but Jaylen Brown 5 of 18 from the field could make a 3-pointer as well. He gets to I don't think he's really had that great of a series besides like a couple of nice first halves and a couple games.
Yeah, he's put up the points, but the efficiency, I think, and just overall game impact hasn't been the greatest.
The other guy? And who's the other guy that's supposed to step up here? Are we expecting 30 from Marcus Smart?
It's got to be
the way
Marcus
the team
Smart,
is formed. I guess, but I don't think we can get that from him. So
no,
it's really just the Tatum Brown show and defense.
Yeah. I think that's what Chris, what you were saying when the show opened up here is that even that sort of narrative change of Boston being deeper and having more guys to go to, those guys are starting to dry up a little bit. And you saw Golden State's guys kind of perform better where Steph had been carrying them the whole time. I mean,
Peyton and Poole off the bench got 29 combined, while White and Grant got 4. So there's different other ways to tell. There's a lot of variables the reason why the Warriors won this game. That's bench scoring, turnovers.
I mean, White's been playing solid for them all finals. Grant's been kind of a no-show in the finals so far, but Joey, what do you think about kind of the role players here in this game?
Yeah, I think it's almost like they're counting on them too much. I think maybe rightfully so because they've gotten good contributions from them throughout the playoffs. And they're kind of hoping that that's, part of their game plan, I think, coming into these games is they're going to get that contribution from a guy like Derek White or Grant Williams. And I mean, since Grant Williams had those 7 3-pointers, whatever
that 30-point game against Milwaukee.
Against Milwaukee, like he's been pretty much non-existent. And maybe that's part to do with it that, the minutes just aren't there for him. And the minutes were much better because they needed more defenders against Giannis. And he was kind of in the game and got more in the flow and the rhythm. But they don't need awkwardly tall big men, I guess you could say, like in this series. It's not a player that they need. And he's not rocking it for him. And Derek White had, 1 point tonight, and that's just not gonna. In 21 minutes too, like that's not gonna cut it. I'm still just locked in on Horford though. I mean, the games that they have looked their best in is when Horford has been able to make an impact, whether that spot up threes or just down low in the paint. But 33 minutes, 3 of 6 from the field, 9 points, like. If that's what you're going to get, like it's not all that surprising, I guess, that Golden State wins when you kind of dig into the stats here. But if you're Golden State, you got to feel damn well that Steph got 16 and didn't make a 3-pointer, and you won by 10, and you easily could have won by more.
Yeah, no, I think this one might have been a little bit of a shift in the series in kind of like power or who's kind of has control. I think Golden State did take control tonight. I wasn't sure if that was going to happen. As far as just the way the series has been going, but it felt like maybe something happened here. I think Boston got really frustrated with the officials in particular, and just I think they took themselves out of the game a lot of that second half, just with Marcus Smart getting the technical, and then like that weird offensive foul where he didn't really hit Poole, but it's just like that's kind of what you get when you've been barking at people. You don't get the calls to go your way.
Sure.
And that's a good point. I think Lisa Salters mentioned Ime Udoka in one of the huddles was saying, "Let's stop complaining to the refs," which is kind of a weird note for the announcer to say. I'm like, coaches shouldn't have to say that often, man.
Sometimes you just take yourself out of the game, and I think that's what happened to Boston. You just saw that they just were not. They were getting frustrated. I think they felt like they were having a really good game against Curry, and to still like be losing and stuff, that you could tell that they were not happy.
Tatum was throwing his hands up in the air
a lot
after every call or after every drive or anything.
Marcus Smart too, and
he did a travel instead of the Wiggins fouled him, but he traveled before.
Yeah,
and so Tatum just went like that to the ref. He's like, whatever. Yeah. He was so mad.
But let's go ahead and spin it forward. Unless you guys got anything else from this game. You got anything else? We can kind of spin it forward here?
Yeah.
All right, let's spin it forward.
I like that.
So Boston has lost their previous game 5s and come back to win both of those series in 7 against Milwaukee and the Heat. So looking forward, Joey. Let's go to you. Yeah, it's kind of weird. What do you think, man? Going back to Boston, I still think this is coming back for 7, but what do you think, man?
So I think the big distinction there is you've been harping on this the whole time. Boston hasn't lost 2 games in a row yet, and they did tonight. I think their frustrations and some of their just inconsistencies and kind of chaos when they need patience and kind of consistency the most. I don't think that's going to disappear. It seems to keep rearing its ugly head at the worst possible times for them. And Golden State seems to be kind of hitting their stride of just very steady, very consistent play. There's no panic in their team. Even the games that they've lost, like when they've started losing, it's like, all right, we're going to lose it, and that's going to be it. I think they're hitting their stride. I think their championship pedigree is really showing right now. I think they get it done in Boston on Thursday night.
Wow, I like it. Chris, what do you think, man? Looking forward.
I think we're getting game 7. Yeah, no. I feel like coming out of this game, going into this game, I felt like the Warriors needed it more than Boston did.
Yes,
because if Warriors lost this game, you're going back to Boston down again. That's a hostile territory. Curry put on a masterclass performance in game 4 in order to get out of there. So it's better to be up in this series. Maybe they can win game. Obviously, they have a chance to win game 6, but I think this is going 7, and I think Golden State can still take it in 7. I had Boston in 6 just to play contrarian to you two. But you guys are looking pretty good right now with that Warriors pick. So, but also Curry had a bad game. So regression to the mean is my philosophy in sports. Eventually you're going to come back to what your expected value is. And so we should expect another big game from Curry, one of these 2 games at least.
I think that's my only fear about, or kind of agreeing with Joey that they can win it in Boston, is that I think Curry's coming. He's got to be coming. They're gonna go to work, figure out what they can do against this defensive scheme. They're gonna figure it out, and I think he's gonna have a big game in Game 6. Now, I still think in Boston that those guys are gonna play better and they're gonna go ahead and force a Game 7. But Curry waiting in the wings is definitely something interesting.
Anytime they had him on the bench, you just see he was laser focused.
Yeah.
And after the game, he had one.
He did the one. He did the one more.
So
and that was with 30 seconds left. Go ahead, Joey.
Yeah. No, I was the fact that Curry didn't have a great game tonight, and I don't think he's going to let that go again. He wants to lock up. It's locked up already, but I think he wants to lock up that Finals MVP even more. And I mean, you saw him shooting for that 3-pointer.
Yeah, he wanted it.
So I feel like somebody mentioned to him, hey, you've made one in every playoff game you ever played, and he wanted it, and he wanted it bad. And even if you didn't know that stat, I feel like that's just part of his pride in game is I make 3-pointers. What I do, I don't go for 7. So I don't see that happening again, and I'm not sure Boston has the firepower right now. Unless they get contributions from everybody, I think it's going Golden State's way.
State. Definitely be locked in for Thursday night Game 6. I think speaking to your point there, Joy, I did think he had that one, not the one at the end of the game where he clearly was firing it to try to get it in, but he had one where he came off a screen, I think from Wiggins, and had a wide open look. I thought that was it. I was like, all right, that one's going in. and then he just missed it. And I was like, oh, come on, man. And that's kind of when I was like, all right, if he's missing that one, he's not getting it.
Nope.
But did Wiggins potentially steal any MVP votes?
I know. I was thinking that too.
Did Wiggins just do the Durant and get it from him?
Do the Iggy?
yeah. The Iggy. No.
I think the 43 in Game 4
true.
kind of locks it up for him.
There's no chance unless like Wiggins. I don't know.
But what if Steph has just a turn of a game and then
unless he has a dud and
Wiggins, like if this game happens
30
in
and
Game
16
6 as well, does Wiggins win it?
Does Wiggins get it? Oh my god, I would laugh so hard. Well, I guess good recap here, and then you guys got anything else left?
I wanted to say one other thing. Shout out to Draymond Green for fucking just coming through, man. This guy, he's been getting ragged on every single podcast. People keep ragging on him for his podcast, and like, you know, we're doing a post live podcast, and you can listen to ours. You can also listen to the Bill Simmons podcast, the No Dunks, Spencer's podcast, the Athletic NBA Show podcast, you know, the Colin Shots podcast with Seth Partnow. You can listen to the Ryan Rosillo podcast.
We just listen podcast
the
now.
NBA Show Locked In podcast. There's a Locked On NBA podcast. You can listen to the Low Post podcast. You can listen to the Brian Windhorst and the Hoop Collective. But really, the only one that's going to give you like a genuine post-game performance is the Draymond Green show. And what he did after Game 4 was just so great. You got to see him genuinely talk about it at 1 a.m. his time about how when he came out with 7 minutes to go, and how like he wasn't, you know, he was more surprised that people were surprised that he would come out. He would be mad if he came out. Like he just came up. He showed up well today, 8, 8, and 6 from the field. It really showed that he didn't put what's credited to him in Game 4, you know, personally, and came out and just competed. So it was awesome to see that.
I'm definitely gonna have to check out the Draymond Green podcast. See what he says. Joe, you got anything you want to list real quick?
No. That's a negative for me.
Like I'm trying to get catch a flight.
I got
Keep it
Chris. Classic Chris. Let's keep it at 15 minutes. We were there. We were right there.
We were right there.
And then we got 20 podcasts listed by name.
It was only 10.
Well, on that note, I don't know. It's just gonna be me and Richie next week, right?
That's it.
Thursday
right.
For a potential closeout game.
For a potential closeout game, me and courtside Rich gonna be holding it down the fort. So I'll definitely get in contact with them. So join us Thursday to potentially recap the end of the series, or if Game 6 is the end of the series, we'll definitely do a podcast all together. So before it's all over.
Sure.
But until next Thursday, box out.